Well, welcome everyone to our first ever T4L vodcast, or webcast, or podcast, depending on how you're listening to us. Today we are so lucky. What a way to begin. We are here with Brian Gonzalez, the General Manager for Education at Intel. Brian, it is an absolute pleasure. How are you?
Joe, it's a pleasure to be here, and I am doing great.
Oh, fantastic. Now, you've shot into Sydney on your way back from China. I can't believe I just said that in one sentence, but can you tell us a little bit about your every single day? Tell us about it.
Let me tell you, Joe, I think that I stopped in China on my way to Australia.
Of course you did. That's right. How silly of me.
Absolutely. When I seen the work that you guys are doing here around STEM education, I got very excited. I believe, in my mind anyway, that I have one of the best jobs at Intel. I get to spend a lot of my time with folks like yourselves that are bringing in innovation into the education side of the world. And to me, there's no more important job.
Absolutely.
I've had the opportunity in the last 10 years to travel to over 100 countries. Just in this last trip, as I mentioned, I was in Beijing and Singapore. I was going to stop in Manila, but the rain got in the way. So I came here to sunny Sydney, which was my main focus of this trip, to understand how you're using technology. And after my discussion today, I'm very, very excited. The work that we do at Intel in education, again, I represent a lot of folks back in headquarters. Education is our second largest vertical. So we have a lot of focus around education at Intel. A lot of folks may not know that. They know us for making chips, which we do.
Yeah, exactly.
But what we do also is help around the effectiveness of education in the classroom.
Because a chip is just a chip, but what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the power of that computer or that machine? Because there's so many different devices that have chips in them these days.
That's true, and that sometimes becomes an issue because being connected is not enough. What we look at is, are we helping in the classroom empower teachers so as their students learn, they can be also creators, not just consumers.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes,
that's
music
the big
to our
focus.
ears. Absolutely. So, you just said you were in China, you've been in Singapore. What are some of kind of the innovations that you've seen in classrooms in all your travels that you think are going to really affect and impact on the classroom?
Well, some of the innovations that I saw here are very similar to the best innovations I've seen around the world. For example, looking at the makerspace, but looking at it from the next level of not only how we're creating, but what are we creating in these technology spaces. And the way that you are bringing it into the classroom, I think is fantastic. In the past, many years ago, we had computer labs. And that's where people would go and learn about the computer. These days, that's not the case. The kids now need something much more effective, that they can engage in the projects that impact their community, that they can have some say in the types of learning that they're doing, and get from that experience, not only skills for right now, for today, but something that will help them in the future in terms of not just getting a great job, but creating their next opportunity.
So it's really about making the connection between all these different skills that they have. And I think you've got a bit of a passion for entrepreneurship, Brian. Can you tell us how that kind of fits into this technology landscape?
Yes, in some of the innovation centers that we have visited, we see that the technology knowledge and the exercising of computer thinking or computational thinking is also coupled with innovation and entrepreneurship. So it's not only that we're doing a cool project with the technology, but we're bringing a project that adds value. And students learn how to bring that value to the community and how to market it, how to position it, how to sell the idea, and how to further get the input to refine their project. So this whole area of entrepreneurship that is married to the innovation that's happening is really, we see as fundamental to help these young children learn how to engage in a much more effective way in the application of technology.
It's amazing. And I think you kind of have a personal story about this and your son. And in terms of, people these days, they don't get jobs, they invent jobs.
That's right. That's right. Well, I have a personal anecdote about my son who came back from college, and we were thinking of him, getting a job for the summer, and he told his mom and I, well, I have a job for the summer. I want to have my own business teaching guitar. That's my passion. He thinks he's good at it. I've heard he is, and he's quite talented, and he knows how to engage people and teach. So now he has his own business this summer, and he's doing quite well teaching.
Wow.
In his own time, and he's in love.
It's
He's loving
combining
that.
all these skills,
Yeah.
all these different technology, human skills. It's amazing. What a fantastic, young fellow it sounds like he is. But, going a bit further on from there now, and thinking, I suppose, a little bit more about what you have been talking about, and I guess what I was wanting to touch on next was AI, because a lot of our teachers out there, they're going, Brian, I hear everything you're saying. Sounds like I've got to do a lot of extra things in my classroom, to try and help these students on. But there's some kind of technologies that can actually help our teachers to do their jobs better and make their lives easier, isn't there?
Yeah, so we're looking at bringing these technologies not only to engage the students, but bring some new capabilities for the teachers to further the instructional capabilities. One of the ones that we're super excited about is this whole notion of adaptive learning. To using artificial intelligence and other tools that are out there to understand how this content is getting to the children and how they're reacting to it, and looking at ways to optimize the personalization of the content in ways that are more effective. For example, you and I could be very different in the way that we learn a particular material.
Absolutely.
Using the technology, the systems learn how we learn, and brings the material and delivers it in a way that's most effective for my understanding of the material.
So it's just not just about where I'm up to, but it's how I like to engage and receive the information.
Exactly, and the ways that when that information comes, how you absorb it, how you interact with it, are you engaged? Does it help you with better outcomes in terms of understanding and comprehending the material?
Okay. Well, this is amazing. This has been an amazing discussion, Brian. And I've got a couple of little questions just to finish off. So first of all, what do you think is the innovation that we're going to see make the most impact on the classroom in the next 12 months? What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's incorporating some of the elements of artificial intelligence into the classroom, not only, as I mentioned earlier, as an instrument to help in education, but in the types of projects that the kids can be doing. Yes.
Okay, wow, kids developing apps or kids developing connected devices that use AI.
Absolutely. So what we think and what we see, and I think it will happen here in probably the first place around the world, is to not only have computational thinking, but have computational actions, and using AI as an instrument and as a tool to make sense of the data.
Wow.
We have a lot of data sensors out there. How do we make them act in a particular way that brings value to the community, that we understand how that interaction can be incorporated into our everyday lives? And for having the students engage in that new platform, I think holds a lot of promise and opportunity for all of us.
That is really exciting to see what our students can create. I'm already feeling STEMshare 2.0 coming on. I can tell you, it sounds really exciting. And I know your story is you haven't always been involved in education, but your passion is just absolutely outstanding. I can feel it in this room here. Can you tell me what drives you to help try and make a difference to the lives of students?
I've seen in my own life and how getting access to information, being able to act on that information opens up new opportunities. I also enjoy, as part of my work, working in an organization such as yours that really has what I think are the 4 C's that make successful. One is the commitment of the leaders. I see that in the discussions I've had already. Another area that I think is super important is the collaboration with industry. There are ourselves at Intel and many others that want to engage with organizations such as yours to further education, to make it more effective, more efficient, to bring more value for the implementation of technology in the learning. Another aspect of it that I see here is the community that's being built around learning. I see that you're using social media and other vehicles to not only get access to content, but to showcase student-generated content and teacher-generated content. And that is super exciting for us to see. And finally, what I noticed here is not only are you excited, but you have the courage to make these commitments and to take these actions and to meet new folks like myself and others that want to engage and collaborate with you and see how far we can go in having technology be an instrument of education. And all of these things combined make my life super exciting.
Wow.
I get to travel and meet folks like yourself, and at all times I'm learning. So that's a fun thing to do.
Gosh, well, I know lots and lots of teachers out there who remember the Intel brand when it comes to Intel Teach Elements, because a lot of them did those courses to upskill themselves. And I think, in a way, that opened their doors to technology. And I think from what you're saying, you're really encouraging teachers to open the doors to lots of different opportunities, to people, to industry, to the world out there for their students. And that's what drives you. And wow, it has been an absolute pleasure, Brian, to be able to speak with you today. Thank you for talking to the teachers and students of New South Wales Public Schools.
It's my pleasure.
We wish you a safe trip home. Glad to have you back anytime, that is for sure. And we'll get you back in this room for a longer podcast. We'll have a think about what we might talk about when you're next in town.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time on the T4L podcast, vodcast or webcast.